This
Just did. Sorry
conference
about
will
that.
now be recorded.
Court Campbell,
Here.
Gary Paul.
Here.
I did already. Sorry. And Mike Skiffington? Not on yet. Allison Williams? Okay. Okay, well, we need to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America.
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women in uniform throughout the world. Now, I'm going to ask for action on the agenda, but also, if you're not going to talk, could you maybe mute your microphones just so that we don't have a lot of feedback? Do I need action on the agenda?
Sure.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Court Campbell, a second by Ken Bukowski. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. I need action on the minutes from the regular meeting of March 3rd, 2020.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
A motion to approve by Gary Paul and a second by
Mike Skiffington.
Mike Skiffington. Okay, thank you, Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda. Do we have any public that is on the meeting? Comments from the public of items not on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to action items. 7A, action regarding requested PUD zoning overlay for 2760 South Oneida Street, parcel VA-178-14. Aaron.
Okay, the requested plan unit development overlay zoning district is for Midwest expansion at the former Golden Shell Hardy site on the corner of Phoenix Way and South Oneida Street that you can see in your screen here. The site is currently vacant. All buildings and the sign actually been torn down. The requested PUD is for a reduction in the front yard setback and side yard setbacks and green space amount. So we bring up the site plan for you here. Bear with me a second here.
Aaron, I have
difficulty here. Hold on a minute.
Tell Gary Paul to quit messing around.
There you go.
Get that drink out of your hand, we know what you would be up to.
Which hand? That one in book.
There you go. All right. So here's the proposed site plan for the project. At this time, they're planning on building number 1 right here. Future plan for building number 2, hopefully in summer or fall for building number 2. The PUD would cover the entire parcel. The access points that you see on screen are actually reduced from what is currently there. On Phoenix Way, there are currently 2 access points. And on Oneida Street, there are 3 access points. That's been reduced to 1 on Phoenix Way and 2 on South Oneida Street. The PUD request is for a reduction in the front yard setback along Oneida Street. You see here from 35-foot setback to a 12-foot-inch setback. That'll be right here. And as Oneida Street starts to curve away from the building, that actually increases the setback until building number 2 meets the full 35-foot setback on the south end of the parcel here. On Phoenix Way is requested reduction in side yard setback from 25 feet to 12 foot 6 inches, as you see here. And the green space, which isn't uncommon for a redevelopment site, is requested reduction from 15% to 13.4%. Those are the requests of the PUD itself. In terms of the front and side yard setback reductions, it is consistent with the direction the village is going in terms of having the buildings closer to the street, create more of that walkable environment. It also helps maximize the site in terms of the economic value of the property. Land prices for these properties along South Oneida Street are very expensive, and this allows for maximization of the property in terms of parking as well as building location. To give you an idea of what the project will look like upon completion for building number 1. Whoops, I had to close that because I had some issues with I should be opening that. Bear with me a second here. Everything worked really smoothly at Site Plan Review Committee. Not sure why I'm having issues here. Okay, so here's some elevations just to give you a sense of what the project will look like upon completion. This is actually the front elevation. You see here the front on South Oneida Street for building number 1. Exterior materials are a mixture of engineered lap siding, masonry products, and ethos product, all of which meet the site plan review requirements in terms of maximums. Committee did recommend approval of the site plan. The conditions including approval of the PUD overlay by the village board, ground mounted mechanicals and rooftop mechanicals larger than 8 inches in diameter, otherwise not visible. Meet other applicable requirements of section 17-2-200 municipal codes. Right-of-way permits will be needed from Brown County for new driveways and driveway closures. To access onto Phoenix Way as opposed to Oneida Street. Agreement for stormwater that references Ashwaubenon. There's a typo there. Public safety, work with public safety department to determine the best location for Knox box during construction process. Turn radii in parking lots are adequate for fire apparatus to make the turns when attempting to access the FDC. We have very common requests. Forestry had a few requests, ensuring all landscaped areas are installed using landscape edging and mulch. Then there are some specific requests, removing the purple leaf sand cherry plum from the landscape plan because it gets borers very easily, and substituting another plant such as Japanese tree lilac or a variety of flowering crab. Recommendation to plant 3 shade trees in the right of way, 6 feet back of curb along Phoenix Way, and another area immediately north of the southern driveway along Oneida Street, along with their sizes and species on those. The village forestry department will remove 2 stumps due to emerald ash borer that were trees that were cut down along Phoenix Way. And the bike and ped had a request to include a bike rack or post near the primary entrance to building number 1, which will likely be the rear of the building because for the primary entrance will be back here. Site plan did request to add the condition that all metal panels use concealed fasteners, which is a requirement in our ordinance, but they wanted to make sure that was clearly spelled out. So again, the PUD overlay before Plan Commission is for the front yard setback, to reduce that from 35 feet to 12'4" for building number 1. Building number 2, future 35-foot setback, reduce setback along Phoenix Way from 25 feet to 12'6", and reducing the minimum green space from 15% to 13.4%. Steve Wazalowski from Midwest Expansion is online, so I'm sure he can answer the questions that you may have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you as well.
Mayor, instead, it did go through site plan this afternoon. Questions were brought out about the setbacks, but it does comply with the PUD. It also complies with the office building on the corner of Hanson and Oneida. They're tight to the curb, similar to this. Other than that, it did fit the project very nice. It's a nice addition to the village. There's no other questions. I move to approve with the conditions that Aaron talked about.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Gary Paul and a second by Ken Bukowski to approve the PUD zoning overlay for 2760 South Oneida Street with the conditions that Aaron read. Like they said, it went through site plan. Everything seems to be in order. So if there's no further questions or discussion, motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Thank you very much. Any items for next agenda, Aaron?
Thank you all.
Yes, we will have at least 2 certified survey maps on the agenda for May.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion? I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are done. Thank you very much for calling in and participating.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
And
Goodbye.
hopefully next month we'll see you. Thank you.
Very good.